All right, everybody. I am really excited today to talk to you about the freezer stash. The freezer stash, if you've seen some of my recent posts, is kind of, again, this new social media phenomenon, meaning in 2010, when the Affordable Care Act came around, it said that everybody who gave birth got a breast pump and lactation support. So pre-2010, if you had a NICU baby, if you had to go back to work, you had to pay for your pump out of pocket. You might have had a rare insurance plan that would cover that, but you were buying a pump. It was a much higher likelihood that if you went back to work, you would also then wean and move to formula feeding and or buy a pump, which was pretty expensive. Around 2010, where more people had access to pumps, we saw more people getting pumps who maybe weren't going back to work or had a different situation with their feeding. And then sometime around 2015, with TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, social media kind of increasing awareness, right? We started to see the stash. The stash meaning people who were showing their freezer supplies, they were showing their pumping volumes, and it kind of generated, in my opinion, a panic about milk supply. Now, I love talking about the stash. If you follow me for a while, you know that I love helping people reach their individual goals. I try very hard in my content to provide evidence-based research. I try to always back up what I say by science when at all possible. And then I'm really there to support you in your goals without judgment. So when we are talking about the stash, the reason some people get upset is because there are a lot of unrealistic expectations for stashing breast milk. So when we talk about the stash, we need to talk about individual goals and bodies. Because when you have an unmet expectation, that is where we see frustration and anxiety. So to start off, you never need to have a stash if you are exclusively breastfeeding from the breast. So for people who do have the ability to stay home with their babies, who are with them full time, who don't have to leave their babies with somebody else, you can successfully breastfeed without ever touching a pump. So it is possible to have zero stash and breastfeed until your child turns 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. Okay, so you don't need a stash if that is your lifestyle and your goal. Now, here in the United States, unfortunately, we are not the best at actually helping maternal care. We have no paid maternity leave that's of any standard, right? Every company is unique in how much they pay. Every family is different and unique in their working and financial situation. There are a lot of families that do have two incomes where mom has to go back to work anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 months. So having that stash can be a really valuable part of their lifestyle and reaching their goals. So if your goal is to go back to work, for people who are just enougers, you only need to have enough in your stash to replace when you're gone. So a lot of people will do what's called leapfrog pumping, meaning what they pump Monday at work gets fed Tuesday, what they pump Tuesday gets fed Wednesday, what they pump Wednesday gets fed Thursday, and then on their last day of work, they put that in the freezer or the fridge, and then they pull from their stash and feed again on Monday. So it is absolutely possible to breast milk feed, exclusively breast milk feed, without, again, having a large stash. You just have to have enough for the first time that you're gone from your baby, because then the expectation is you're just replacing that every single time. And there's a lot of just enougers out there. I was a just enougher. I never had more than 3 or 4, maybe 6 bags of milk in my freezer at any given time, and I was able to breastfeed both of my kids until they turned 2 years old. And then you have this other camp of people that need a stash. They're away from their baby for long periods of time. They have NICU babies. They have other different goals. I've had multiple parents tell me that they want to pump to create enough of a stash that they can wean from breastfeeding or pumping, but continue to breast milk feed. That is a personal choice. That is a great goal. And they just need to understand how it works. The more milk you move, the more milk you'll make. And it's totally possible to tell your body that you've had twins or triplets, create an oversupply, feed the baby and feed the freezer to reach whatever goal that family has. My big thing with the stash is unrealistic expectations and education on how it works. Not everybody will be able to create a massive oversupply and have overflowing full bottles of pumped milk. Not everybody needs a stash based on their lifestyle and goal. Some bodies are just enoughers. They make enough for their baby. And that is a beautiful, wonderful thing. And some bodies don't make enough for their baby. Sometimes we know why, sometimes we don't. But when they see posts of these overflowing bottles and these overflowing freezers, it can drive anxiety that they're not making enough, or they don't have enough, or their body's not good enough, even though sometimes their body's doing exactly what their body should do, and they have plenty of milk for their baby. So really the root is unrealistic expectations that they're going to be able to pump 6 to 8 ounces after breastfeeding their baby. Some people can, most people can't. That when they can't, because it's not normal, that's where they get frustrated or have anxiety that something's wrong, even though something might not necessarily be wrong. The other concern too is for some people, when they do have an oversupply in our stashing, it can increase their risk of plug ducts and mastitis or other issues. Not everybody. I've seen some people that have massive oversupplies and never have any issue. But people also need to realize that once you get on that train of frequently pumping and removing milk, you can't just stop. Your body believes that all of that milk is going into a baby and will continue to make that milk. You have to very systematically and slowly wean off of that extra pumping and wean back that oversupply to prevent some kind of infection, because your body assumes that a baby is doing that and your body wants that baby to grow. So it continues with that supply. So again, I love the stash. I love helping people reach their goal in their stashing, hoping that we just have better education on realistic expectations of how unique bodies work and unique situations are, and then educating on how it works and how to maintain it so that there's no frustration on either end. So I love the stash. I love the conversation. I think it's a good one to have. I do feel like social media drives up anxiety on both sides. Do I have enough? Am I making enough? Do I have enough stashed? Is my body doing what my body should do? And I see that on both sides for all kinds of different lifestyles and all kinds of different goals. So there's my spiel on the stash. Drop me a comment about your stash and about the anxieties you've had over it, or if you're really enjoying having the stash, why you like having such a big stash. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me. Now you know.